Welcome back to the show. I'm Mike.
I'm Kenny.
And we got a great episode for you tonight. We have with us Elizabeth Everett. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Mike.
Tonight's going to be a great story. I don't even know how to properly introduce her with a story because there's so much packed into what she's going to talk about and what she's been through and how God delivered her and set her free. So take the reins, Elizabeth, wherever you want to begin. Just start by telling us where you're from.
All right. So my name is Elizabeth Everett, and I am the founder of Grace in the Breaking Ministries, and I am from Lewisburg, Tennessee, born and raised.
Awesome. And are you still in Lewisburg today?
No, sir. I left Lewisburg many years ago, never to return.
All right. So I know we kind of, I don't know that I blame you, but.
Just being honest.
There you go. Before we get into the story, though, are you a Mule Day fan?
Do you know, in all these years and being from Middle Tennessee, not once in 46 years have I attended a Mule Day.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is, especially being 30 minutes away.
Yeah, not many people that can say that. All right, so let's get into your story. You take it and you start wherever you want to start, and we'll go from there. We're just going to sit back and listen.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. So I am from Lewisburg, and I grew up in a very well-known provincial family. So there were certain connotations associated and expectations with everyone in a small town in relation to the family that I came from. With that being said, not everything you see on the outside is a portrayal of what's going on behind closed doors. You know, so many times you hear about people looking through glass houses, and it's absolutely the truth. So as a young girl, I lived in the country. It was a very lonely time. We lived in the middle of nowhere in Belfast, Tennessee. And, you know, my family, my friends, they were my animals. The cows, the goats, the dogs, and the cats. And I know that sounds crazy, but as I'm actually rehashing from the beginning, and I started to write a new book 2 weeks ago, it's bringing back up all these memories. So, like, my life started out very simple, very tomboy, always outside. Like, we lived on a Confederate camping ground from when the Battle of Petersburg took place. So when I tell you there was always something like cool to like find, okay,
Digging in the dirt a lot.
Yes, digging in the dirt.
Metal detector.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, so it was just it was an amazing, as far as that goes, an amazing childhood. I grew up in a not a conducive family. Honestly, looking back, like, I don't ever remember smiling. I don't ever remember having any aspirations for the future. And I don't say that for you to feel bad or anything. I just want you to get a realistic expectation that this stuff is real. I don't ever remember having true joy.
Wow.
Children aren't supposed to have that.
Right.
So that kind of sets the stage for what I grew up in. I didn't grow up with two parents that showed affection. We didn't sit down for family dinners. We sure didn't go to church. We didn't discuss Jesus. I grew up in a home that adultery was going on as well as addiction. Now, as a child, you learn mannerisms from who you're around. You become a product of your environment. And it's not intentional. Yeah. And, you know, and I will say, I believe my parents did the best job that they could with what they had at the time and what they were experiencing. Because at that time, you know, they were pretty young. Life was different then. They were not happy. It was evident to everyone that was around. But being from a type of family that I was from, these secrets were just shoved down. You didn't talk about anything. You didn't talk about emotions. It was a dirty little secret that you hid. And it became shameful. I mean, let's face it. People, it's a small town. People had rumors. And that was hard expectations to live up to. And yeah, it was a very isolating time.
Did you have any siblings?
So I was actually an only child for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And my mom had gotten pregnant with my sister, and she went for her 2-month checkup and found out she was pregnant with triplets.
Oh, wow.
And as the body does, the body absorbed one, so then there were two. So imagine being a only child for all of those years, and then all of a sudden you're at the perfect age
to take care of the kids,
to be the caretaker.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you should ask that, because like, as I'm rehashing small details, intricate details, like I can remember, at first, I hated those kids. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like the selfish side took over, because I can tell you, my dad never was home. He was doing stuff with insurance and his friends and lots of stuff in Nashville, I remember. And my mother was never home because she was always at the horse barn. And so now we had these kids, and I spent a lot of time at my great-grandmother's house. And man, the way that things kind of moved, shaped, and started to happen really unleashed some pieces of me, looking back, should have been major red flags to my family. So during this time that these kids were born, we did have some neighbors, and I was sexually assaulted by the neighbor.
And how old were you there?
I was 9.
9, okay.
And
Wow.
through 10, maybe 10 and a half. And not knowing how to come out and say that to my parents. Now, eventually it did come out to one of my parents, and we'll kind of get to that later. But again, you got to remember, I came from a family, we don't talk about anything that's gross. Our family is perfect on the outside. I love my grandparents. They were pillars of the community, but I can tell you, when they passed away, the family went to hell in a handbag real quick. And, no one can live up to perfect expectations, because there is no perfect family. There are no perfect parents. There are no perfect children.
No.
So trying to create environments to which there's unrealistic expectations, there's never going to be anything conducive.
And it's crazy you said that about was your great-grandmother, or when she passed away. I've noticed that like in generations, whenever that elder level passes away, things often change. And it's not always bad, but like when I remember growing up, we had family reunions like every year. It was a thing, right? And like decoration, and it's not really a thing. It is, but it's not like it's not necessarily bad things. But I hear what you're saying when the elderly.
It's like the backbone of the family.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like, my grandparents, the Russells, they brought the first restaurant to Marshall County, the Hi-Hat. They did the vending and catering for all of the things. Everybody knew who the Russells were. And my mother is Russell. But grandparents were, and I'm sure, actually, as I'm looking at generational curses, I'm going to just call it what it is. I'll have some family members that don't agree with me on this, but when you look at bloodline and what's been passed down generation to generation, you see the comparisons. This stuff is real, folks. And I now see a lot of things that I obviously didn't see at the time. All darkness comes to light, and it's really eye-opening when you can see patterns repeat from each generation in some form or shape. It's almost like a supernatural awakening.
Where did life kind of take you from there?
So after one of my parents finding out about it, it was again just kind of pushed down. Well, I'm sure you're blowing that out of proportion, or well, I'm sure that really didn't happen like that. And I don't say that to be malicious or anything. I do think it was possibly a trauma response from something they experienced as a child, right? To push that down, because these are just not natural autonomic processes that the brain does without some type of defense mechanism built
Right.
in. But again, when you're not a Christian,
Right.
you're not living for the Lord, you're living a sinful life, all of these things open doors and allow things to attach. Unfortunately, what family members open up and attach goes throughout the whole household. So, like shortly after that happened, our house burned. So that was a whole catastrophic thing. I mean, our house burnt to the ground. We
Wow.
in one day, like, we had the clothes on our backs, and that was a tough process. And I remember that like came to a head of such an enormous amount of animosity between my parents. They were butting heads over there wasn't enough insurance, blah, you know, all of the things. And at the end of the day, nobody was like, oh my gosh, like we all got out alive. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. There wasn't any of that. It was, oh my gosh, I lost this, and oh my gosh, I lost that. So that kind of contention set up at our new rental home, even further out in the middle of nowhere, y'all, in Belfast. Golly. To another isolating state, but here's the kicker. Then I did become the caretaker to the point that actually DCS was called on my parents because I was keeping 3 children. But guess what? It was my fault. I had to have told DCS. You know,
They gonna blame that for sure.
It was one family member, and I was like, I didn't even know what children, family, and service. You know what I mean? I had no idea. And y'all, this is the funny thing. How you remember one thing? Like the 100th day of school, you know, when your hair's gray and you're wearing the old stuff. That happened to be the day the DCS lady showed up at the door that afternoon, and here I was dressed like that. And so then someone in my family thought, I had said. How is a child going to orchestrate something like that? That's what's funny looking back. Like, wow, you must have thought like I was super intelligent. All these times you said I would never amount to anything. I was a genius then and didn't even know it.
Right.
But it's kind of one of those things that kind of shows you the level of dysfunction. And it turns out, I didn't find out 2 years later, it was a good friend of mine's mom who was just flat out worried.
Wow.
And this just again set the stage. Set the stage that I was untrustworthy, that I was up to something, you know. Even more dissension, and the more that one parent would try to draw close to me, it would make the other parent draw farther away. So when I tell you, no one sat in the same room, no one did anything together, there was no I love you. If there was any interaction, it was yelling, or there was simply nothing was ever good enough. I could never please anyone.
When you were doing most of the work or all of the work.
You know, I looking back, I don't even know how with twins, you know, that were in diapers and a toddler. Like, I think I would have gone nuts now.
Oh, yeah.
At this age,
for sure.
like, I mean, that's a lot, but. You know, when you're thrust into those situations, you don't have any other choice but to survival. Funny you should say that. So your body does take on survival mode, and anything what I've learned through deliverance is anything that has happened to me over the years. Like I can be healed here, but I had to start leaning into my body. If my heart started palpitating, my mouth started getting dry. These are all things from survival mode my body had picked up on all those years ago. And guess what? I'm comfortable. I was comfortable in that. I was comfortable with the chaos. So for so many years, y'all, I would self-sabotage things, not even knowingly.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm used to that chaos. I'm
it.
used to the rejection. So I'm going to try to play that from a different side. So lots of things that occurred. And we moved back into our house that was rebuilt on that property. And I was still a good kid at that point, or at least I thought.
How old were you then in that age?
We finally got that house built back like 13, 14.
Okay. So middle school.
Yeah, coming in, seventh grade, eighth grade, and then y'all high school started.
Before we jump into high school, can I ask you a quick question? When you're talking about DCS coming in, because I'm really curious, did they do their job? Or did they fall short? Because I've heard a lot of people say that sometimes they fall short.
I don't know. I think she came over a couple of times, right? Because my dad, of course, wasn't there when she came. But I'm almost 100% sure that it was turned around that I fabricated it all.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then there was
100%.
never any follow-up. To my knowledge, it was squashed. But again, I want to tell you something. I came from ex-family. And I don't care what you say, but in a small town, ex-family carries weight over pretty much anything.
Right.
Just saying.
That's true.
I mean, I learned that firsthand. Well, we'll tell about that.
Well, that's fine. I didn't mean to derail. I just wanted to ask that.
So looking back, I mean, I don't really know if there's... They probably did the best with what they had. That was,
Right.
Because I'm 46 years old, so that was a very long time ago.
Yeah. All right, and it was a different time back then. So.
Yes.
All right, so jumping into high school.
Jumping into high school, like, I was the kid that had it all together on the outside. Remember, because appearances were everything.
Big
It doesn't mean that you weren't breaking apart in the inside. I mean, I was a cheerleader. I had great grades. All of the things. And everything was going for me my freshman year. And someone in my house had set up for me to go and clean a friend of the family's house. Now, that person, I was actually good friends with their daughter and had no idea of what they did or anything. Long story short, I was sexually assaulted that night and given cocaine and crack. And we're talking about a massive amount. So I was 14 years old at this time. And I remember being so high and being like, what in the world is going on? And going back home and being just, I mean, I was stoned out of my mind. I couldn't slow my heart down. I had no idea because I'd never even discussed drugs, right? Because like we were drug resistance education that had just come out when I was in the 5th grade. Like that's dating
Drug
me,
free,
right?
I remember that.
And so like this was odd, and I didn't share with anybody except I ended up calling this friend from high school in the middle of the night, and he was so kind, and he talked to me, and we never discussed it again. I actually saw him. He came into Destiny Church 2 years ago, and my heart about fell out the door as I opened it for him. And I just, I've given him a shout out on a couple of things, but I really think God ordained that night because that was a very scary night, and he literally talked to me until I came down. But the cycles didn't stop there. Does that make sense? Like, I was like, okay, scared, don't want anything to do. Then that person would call, and I was told to go back and clean the house. And I knew that this wasn't a cleaning house situation anymore. This stuff started continually happening, and then there started to be some buzz around in the adult community. And I know that my family had heard the rumors, but I never was confronted at that point. I was not.
It was in that shock. They didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Or didn't want to believe.
They didn't want to believe. And so then I started acting out. And I actually, started really acting out.
What grade was this?
This was a freshman.
Still freshman, okay.
So I was acting out. My behavior, like I was aggressive at home. I was shameful. My grades started to drop a little bit. I didn't want to hang out with anybody my age. I felt guilty because these people were so good, and how could I be this dirty
Right.
I got
person? All of this shame and condemnation and guilt come on you, and especially when you're holding it all in.
The crazy part is none of that was your fault.
Exactly,
It took me decades to break free from that spirit of rejection.
Oh, I bet.
And So of all things, like I wasn't doing any drugs with people my age in the beginning.
Right.
And because remember, I was goody two shoes, family. I mean, anybody at school, at high school, you know, you had the stoners, right? They didn't talk to the cheerleader, you know. It was the whole thing. And
Cheerleaders didn't talk to the band guys either.
you know what? I think I did. But anyways, it was just, it was that fake mirror of what I'd gone through as a child. Doesn't matter what you're going through, but you put on this persona, you build this alter ego, and you stand, and you don't move from that position because you don't let people see what you're going through. Had a bunch of acid, and I don't even remember how I got a hold of acid.
Good grief.
Then I was like, well, I'm going to start smoking pot with some people.
This is still freshman year?
Yes. Okay. So then I'm smoking pot with people that are 18.
Right.
And I have all this acid. And I remember this is like when they first started coming in to do drug busts at school, right? Like, they're like, oh, I think there's drugs coming into school. Really? You're just now? Really?
Just now? Yeah.
And I remember I had LSD in my wallet. I now know that dogs can't
Right.
smell LSD, but I can tell y'all, I was like, oh my gosh, well, don't take it, Elizabeth, because that will not be good. So I'm shoving it behind my driver's license. Anyways, long story short, forget I have it in there,
Oh, no.
and am hitting some back roads with friends later that night. Now, let me also tell you, it's April Fool's Day. Drive by the what is it called? Henry Horton State Park. And we had passed a joint over like this. So the policeman that was hiding saw that and was like, pulled us over. And I'm the only one in the car that's a baby, right? Everybody else is 18 and over. So I'm like, oh, I'll take the rap for everybody's stuff. And he's like, ma'am, I saw you pass something. And then what did you throw out the window? And I was like, huh? What? He's like, you do know I smell it. I don't smell anything. And I did throw a bag out, but anyways, of course he found it.
Oh, yeah.
They found the LSD.
Oh.
I took the rap for it.
Did you go to juvenile detention?
So remember I came from a family.
Oh,
Okay.
powers that
The
be.
X family, yeah.
So let me tell you. Well, first of all, I think my mom and dad hung up multiple times on the police because it was April Fool's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
And they thought it was a joke. And they get there and they're like, we know this is not yours. And I'm like, oh, yes, it is. Because I didn't want my friends to go to jail.
Right.
And I ended up, like, they let me go home that night. They got me this lawyer. They kept it out of the paper. I had won a pageant, and the people were trying to take Miss Lewisburg away from me. I mean, y'all, it was a whole thing. And I got a pass on that. Like, I got a pass. It got reduced to, I went before Steve Bowden, and I got, what was it, probation, and
Slap on the wrist.
yeah,
Yeah.
for schedule.
That's lucky right
God
there.
knows.
Yeah.
You know, his angels were protecting that. But again, that was so many years ago, right? Things were different. And, you know, I'm thankful for that. But you would have thought that was the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
So now publicly that this is all out, some people in my family had developed a reputation. And they assumed because of my actions that I might be following suit behind that.
Right.
So someone else close to my family started sexually assaulting me and giving me even more hardcore drugs. And when my family had video picture proof of it and came to me and said, who are they going to believe, an upstanding member of society or a drug addict like you? I internalized that.
Good grief.
At that time, I thought, well, maybe it is me. I did not realize what I'd been growing up in was being groomed. This is part of like how trafficking starts now, and I didn't even realize this till I just started working with the Nashville Human Trafficking Coalition, the NAHT, and they were like, Elizabeth, this is how it begins. And but again, it was so many years ago, and had no idea. And I can tell you that first man that hurt me, he was killed. His house was burnt on top of him.
Wow.
in Belfast. And then the second guy that hurt me, he passed away of natural causes later on from drugs. However, I look back at all the people that were around and how that murder happened. And like I was somewhere way up north when it happened. Do you know the sheriff called me all the way up there and said, "Do you know anything about it?" I'm like, what are you talking about? How do you know? And that, well, your name came up. So it was so scary to see how all of this, little towns are corrupt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everything is intertwined, and the things that you learn growing up are wicked. So let me fast forward. The demise of me. Thinking everything was my fault, I ended up leaving my home 3 weeks after I turned 17. So, age 17, 3 weeks after that birth date, I had just had enough. I moved out the beginning of my senior year, and I moved in with my older boyfriend's mother. And when I say older boyfriend, I mean older boyfriend. And because, see, I had already started developing patterns, right? I didn't associate with anybody my age because of the things that I had gone through and how I carried myself. I didn't think that anybody else my age deserved to be around me. And I was always looking for a security. Okay, so I want you to kind of keep that in mind. So ended up finishing my senior year living with this guy's mother, her trying to the best to mother me. And I was just becoming more wild. I mean, I was smoking pot all the time. I was doing cocaine intermittently. I was doing LSD. I was doing ketamine, all the fun stuff that had started to come on the scene, okay? And I started becoming the girl that you could probably get whatever you wanted to from at school, which wasn't good.
No.
So, soon as we graduate, get married. I mean, as soon as I turn 18, we get married.
You got married to the guy that the mom's thing. Okay.
That was an older guy. We moved straight to Puerto Rico.
Oh wow.
Grief.
His family had traveled for many years in and out of different countries, and so he would always bring in the really good dope from whatever country, because back then you could tape stuff to the inside of your leg and get on an airplane. I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they didn't fix it until 9/11.
Yeah, so it was easy to transport things. Yeah. So we moved to Puerto Rico. We were running with Puerto Rico Mafia, and let me tell you something. Women don't run in those circles in other countries, okay? But my mentality was like, I'll take you down. You think you're going to take me down? I became 10 foot high and 7 foot wide. I had absolutely no fear, because what could be worse than anything I'd already experienced, right? Mm-hmm. So the more drugs I did, like I had nicknames, because when I tell you I could throw down drugs, I was Hoover. They could not believe the amount of drugs that I could do in one setting. And I didn't want you to talk to me. I was mean. And so I ran with that group in Puerto Rico, and I was protected. It didn't matter where I went. Whatever I wanted, I had. Mm-hmm. We lived in a beautiful community there. All of the things, and you know what? We were kind of foreigners, even though it's a U.S. territory, and we had money, and we lived a lavish lifestyle down there. And it wasn't until one night that husband number one almost killed me. He was doing drugs that night. I remember him listening to Black Sabbath, and that's the first night I got scared. He looked at me and he said, "I'm going to kill you." And I was like, oh, crap. Like, he really is about to. And he grabbed a knife, and he went to chasing me. He put holes. So in foreign countries, there's bars on all the windows for safety. And the doors are like the thick wood. He put holes in the door. Anyways, the music stopped. I was able to slip out of that hall bathroom I was in and escape out a window, push an air conditioner out. And after that, I was like, okay, maybe I actually have a problem. Red flag number one. So I call my dad, end up coming home for a visit, never go back and put myself in rehab. Well, y'all, when I get to rehab in Alabama, they were like, good gosh, how are you walking? And I'm like, this 72 hours later, either y'all give me some drugs or I'm leaving.
Oh, wow.
Because my body was in such a state of withdrawals. I mean, I remember them referring to me there. My dad was like, well, what is she on? And they were like, the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how old were you when all this was taking
When that
place?
happened, 18 and a half.
Wow. 18.
19, maybe not, almost 19. So I get out, I move up north to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
So I had left Puerto Rican mafia stuff in Puerto Rico. I had left him everything, didn't fight over anything. Just, Dad, please just take care of this, get a divorce. Back and forth with him, calling rehab. Like, the reason that I went as far up north is to get away.
To get away,
You know what I'm saying?
So-
Change my name, all the things.
So, and I'm not familiar with the whole mafia thing.
Yeah.
How did they come after you? Because I've always heard that with mafia stuff, you can't just walk away from. Is that true, or is that because I know nothing about it?
So to the some levels, so there was some stuff that ended up happening with him that went down after I left or have heard.
You don't really know.
I don't really know. However, I'm pretty sure that he took the resolve from me
Okay.
in a lot of ways, which I'm grateful and thankful for. And he's doing great now, praise the Lord, and clean and sober. After drugs almost took his life, but we don't talk. But at that time, I was terrified. My family was terrified.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I'd be
that's like,
terrified
I mean, literally went to Wisconsin. Whitewater, Wisconsin. Y'all, that's in the middle of nowhere. So here's the thing. I'm used to having all
You like
this.
the country.
Listen. And it was a college town. And met a guy in rehab. How about that? Met a guy in rehab and was like, oh, wow. Go up here, because I always looked, I'd already developed a pattern. I had to feel secure. I didn't want rejection. I didn't want isolation. So I was already developing these patterns, right? Whatever felt familiar, whatever felt comfortable, even though it was chaos, I was comfortable in it and could function in it. That's all I'd ever known. So I move up there. I tried to get a job at Pizza Hut. Well, y'all, it wasn't making the money that I was accustomed to having or the lifestyle. And my girlfriend was like, oh, there's an opening for a dancer. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So, y'all, I went to the show
Talking about
palace.
ballet.
Oh, yeah, sure, ballet makes a lot of money. So I became a stripper. Not my finest moment. I actually was a stripper for many years. Started doing drugs, running drugs in there, making a ton of money. You know, you meet a lot of different people in a strip club. You don't, and again, now, even though like I had seen the mafia side, I was really naive as to the fact of what pimps were, that was real, that there was prostitution, and that there was gangs that oversaw this stuff.
Yeah.
So when all this comes to light, you need protection. The first person that comes to you that you trust, remember this big old guy from Hell's Angels, and I'm sure he's not living by now because he was an older man, but he was so kind and genuinely like pulled me into a safe spot and kept me from getting underneath of a pimp. And I'm so super grateful. But because see, when you're accustomed to running like I was and you're accustomed to doing things, people trust you. They know you're not a narc, and they can look at you and go, okay, she's been ridden hard, but she's not been put up wet. She's trustworthy. Like, I was solid. And because of that, I was under their protection, and I ran with Hell's Angels and ran with their girls. And when I say their girls, they had a group of girls that danced, right? Yeah. Everybody got their spiffs. And they did keep me from going into a life of being a prostitute. Now, have I done things over the years for drugs I'm not proud of? Absolutely. Have there been times that I wish I could black stuff out? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the whole time of living in Wisconsin and dancing up there, I was completely under the protection of Hell's Angels. And I can tell you, they're involved in a lot of stuff.
I'm sure.
And a lot of it at the time, nothing was ever shared with me, but I knew that New Orleans was a hot spot. And I know that they would run around, but whatever they needed, for protection, to be taken care of, to know that not ever are you going to go without or need anything. I know that probably sounds like, what in the world was she thinking? Well, you're not.
Right.
You're in a chaotic state. You're scared.
Right.
Your body's in fight or flight. So anybody that shows love or attention, whether it's genuine or not, or has an ulterior motive, your brain is not at a capacity to differentiate that, so you're going to lock on to what feels safe and secure at the time.
So let me ask you this. I know that's where you got started with the Hells Angels, running them. This may be kind of a weird question for the viewers, but do you feel like in some way that introducing you to the Hells Angels, that might have been God trying to protect you?
Yes,
mean,
absolutely.
even though Hells Angels aren't known for their, cupcakes and candies,
but they're also one of the most respected motorcycle gangs for protection. When they bring people in, when they give their word, they don't go back on it. Wow. So, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Do I think that happened? Absolutely. Even their main girl, she never left my side. She always watched over me in every shift that we did. And you want to hear the funny thing? Her stage name was Felony. Okay, her stage
Did you
name.
ride a motorcycle?
There's lots of things I've done in my life. So yes, I do think that was from God, and it was literally a thing that protected me from getting into a prostitution ring that was going on there.
And that's awesome how he could use something like that.
Here's the thing. He uses everything.
Oh,
I OD'd so many times. And I got in with people up in, at the time of living up in Wisconsin, y'all, this is when the rave started. Okay, so I was like a part of the original underground, like DJ Sasha, DJ Carl Cox. All the things rang in Y2K in a 7-story underground party.
Wow.
In Chicago.
Man.
Okay. So when I say like the original, original Candy Kids, like somebody said that was talking about, my son was like, you were a rainbow kid. I was like, what are you talking about? No, we didn't color our hair. We were the original OGs. Yeah. He was like, I don't understand. Yeah. He's like, I listened to your podcast and I looked up Rainbow Kid and I was like, no. No. Like I was offended. But anyways, so many times, like I've watched, and God literally in every situation has made a way. I came home from that mortified, just mortified. Ran back into someone from high school. Guess what? Did drugs, right? We went partying one night in Nashville and ended up getting married. Had a kid, moved out of state, tried to get our lives together, but guess what? When you have that dysfunction and a relationship is built on drugs, there's always going to be everywhere you go. It's like you have a beacon on your head that says, hello, I do drugs. It doesn't matter how well put together you are. Like, I'm going to tell y'all, I could go to California to a corporate thing. When I first started in corporate, somebody came up to me and was like, hey, you want some Coke? Did you know I did that? It was like you had a little light above your head. I was like, well, we don't tell anybody that, right? Like, we keep that quiet. Wow. I'm like, so, the devil will use every bit that he can, and God will use everything that he can. But at the end of the day, this became repetitive cycles for me. The spirit of rejection was on me. I would go months. I might go a year or two without drugs, but these cycles kept manifesting. These cycles kept just coming up in everything. And y'all, it sent me, I cheated on that husband with husband number 3. I had a child with husband number 3. He became abusive. And guess what? He cheated on me with my best friend in the other room. So then we got divorced. And then the first thing I did is I didn't want to be by myself, right? So the first man that said, oh, I love you. You're so awesome. What y'all think I did?
You married him.
I did immediately. And not everything good is from God. I'm learning that. That was not a God ordained thing. I never had God. I met God when, listen, he and I had started partying. We had he had left multiple times, and I would start praying, and I knew there was more for me, and I felt this pull, but I didn't understand it because I had never been governed, I had never been discipled, all of these things. And I actually found God when he had left for the second time, and I was plotting to blow my brains out. The kids were at their dad's, and literally, like, I was planning it all out. It was going to be seamless. It was going to not be messy. All the things. I had the big house. I had the 5,000 square foot house. I had the cars, like I had the job. But I was dying inside because I had carried all this crap for so many years. And again, it was what people saw on the outside, right? And I was just dying. So I was going to end it, and then I heard God.
When was this? Well, you remember what?
21.
21. Okay.
21 at 3 o'clock in the morning. I heard God. I was like, wait a minute, what? Next thing I know, he's having me send emails. And then I felt dozed back off, and I was like, woke up. I'm like, what? Did I just dream all this? And I looked, and I was like, those are not my words. Saying, I forgive you for hurting me. Please forgive me. What?
Wow.
But the first thing God had to do, because I had so much hate in my heart had become so hardened. Yeah. My heart had held on to all this rejection and all this pain for all these years that it had manifested in such ways that I was a bulldog in the corporate world. Like, I run into people now, and they're like, we were terrified of you.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm so sorry, because really, I will give you the shirt off my back. Because I've been in the trenches. I know what it is to have no support. I know what it is to be on the street. I know what it is to live in your car. Like, I've been all those places. I've been homeless like the kids under the bridge. And maybe that's why my heart is to them. But I met God. And I sold that house and moved to Columbia. I started going to Destiny Church. And it was the perfect place for me at the time. It was the perfect place for me to, as a baby Christian, to learn and find roots and learn some fundamentals with God. And long story short, my husband came back, and it just never worked. God had a pull in my life, right? Yeah. The farther there's things happening. And in the midst of all this, like, I had prodigal sons that didn't make it easy. And then I had a husband that was still wanting to do pot and drinking, and I had a child in and out of rehab. All these things. It was a chaotic mess. I don't know how we survived it. And
because you were born in it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you become comfortable in it, right?
Yeah.
Even though you know it's tearing you apart, every bit of your soul. Like, I was dying inside. And all of these things kept happening, and as God was revealing to me all of these gifts and all of these feelings, and I'd started going out of the country into Rwanda, and I'd come back and I'd seen all these things that I could not unsee. And then in 24, y'all, everything hit me all at once, like everything. God was like, all right, fine. You're not going to listen to me. I'm going to bring you to your knees like you've never been brought before. So in 24, that summer, stuff started happening with Julian. My health was attacked. Like, I thought I was having a heart attack, went to the hospital. My testosterone was 494 as a woman. Okay, it's supposed to be 80 to 120. And my estrogen was 464. So let me just give you an example. This is a rage state. I could have raged out and killed somebody and probably gotten away with it because it would have been temporary insanity. But God. Okay. So I thought I was having a heart attack. I was all over the place, emotional. All of a sudden, one morning, God was like, you need to ask him if he's happy. He was having nothing to do with me. Like, it had just gotten more and more. I could not do anything. I couldn't make enough money. And y'all, at this time, I was making good money. I was making like $500,000 a year in corporate. But that was my identity, right? Because those people didn't know me.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah,
they didn't know me. So you said I'm gonna never be anything. Let me show you. But my identity had been work. I had all the material things. He never worked. The kids had but I was dead. I was exhausted. I was burnt out. I was repeating cycles, and
there is such a thing as being alive but dead. remember
You can
it
have it
was-
all. Like,
yeah.
be careful what you wish for, because you might just
Yeah.
get it all, and then some you don't want. And I kind of laugh when God reminds me of that, because like I prayed so hard for husband number 4 to come back, right? But the whole time God was telling me, start a podcast, write Pit to Palace. Like, he's giving me all these things, and I'm like, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. And at first I was having like sips of alcohol with him, and then all of a sudden one night God was like, I said stop. I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, okay. And all of it just kept culminating. And I remember the morning I just was like, hey, man, can we talk? And he's like, what? I was like, do you even love me anymore? And the next word, like in the next 3 minutes, I was like, you don't love me and you want to leave?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so in the matter of 5 minutes, my marriage ended. And then it was even like, well, what are you going to take? And what do you want? And oh my gosh. So health, marriage, he leaves. You become double-minded. Well, I did. Because I knew what God had said, and then I felt comfort. But then when you talk to too many people, even though they go to church with you and they're loving, they may not understand what God is doing or telling you.
Yeah.
And it gets confusing if you let them, because that's what the devil does. Yeah. So I put myself into a state of grief. I got in a wreck that shattered my life. I was told I might never get better. I had nerve damage, pain. My oldest son got injured in the military. Meanwhile, the youngest was out here ODing on fentanyl. Or not the youngest, the middle. So all of that happened in 90 days. And your friend here just kept standing in her double-minded state, like, you know what, I know God's going to bring him back, right? Because he did it before. Why wouldn't he do it again? I'll fast longer. I'll pray longer. I lost all my friends in the middle of this because I was hard to be around. I was emotional, but you know what? Jesus flipped tables. I was emotional and mad.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm okay with that, because obviously God saw things that I did not see. But my whole point of telling you this is I stood until the day I went to court on February 11th of 25, thinking the judge's going to come up with something and not give this divorce.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the last time that I spoke with husband number 4 on the phone. He said, I can never be the man that you need me to be. And I was like, that's the truest thing you've ever said. And I haven't heard from him since. Except when he wanted more money. But that's a whole different story. Via email. But you know what? Then God was like, give him what he wants.
What did you feel when he said that? About them not, wanting to love you anymore and all that? Like, what was the first thing that read?
It broke me. That rejection came back. That rejection of everything came back. And through the whole process, like that rejection, well, what did I do wrong? Because this is what you do. And you can be blamed all day. But at the end of the day, listeners, I want to tell you something. It takes two. One person can't keep a marriage going. And if you're unequally yoked, there is no firm foundation to stand on. It will never stand. That's why a cord of 3 is not easily broken. I never had that. Everything I had was built on striving in my own strength, stepping outside of God's plan, and not listening to him. When I look back and see what I survived, listen, he even brought me an imposter right after this, because I thought I could never be alone. And this is the longest I've ever been alone in my life, because it's a cycle. I gotta have, I gotta have. And God was like, I'm about to show you. You get nothing.
He probably wanted you alone so he could spend time with you.
He did.
Yeah.
And even when, like, he brought an imposter and I let go of the red flags, and like I talk about that in the breaking, all the things he started stripping away. And at first I was like, what in the world, God? But then I realized he has a higher standard for me. He has big plans for every single one of us. But what he has for me has been happening all along. And when I look at every single assassination attempt on my life, everything that I've gone through, there was a purpose. So now I can see why the enemy was fighting me so hard all of these years, because he knew one day this hard-headed woman was finally going to stand up and go, all right, you know what, it's time to go back into hell and pull these people out. Because there is not, I've had abortions. I've been arrested and not remembered and woken up in jail and been like, how did I get here? and been blessed by the glory of God that I can kill anybody behind a car, taking out guardrails, the whole 9 yards, but God. So it doesn't matter what you've done, how far you've gone, how dirty you are. All it takes is your yes. And sometimes what you think is rejection is really protection, because he's stripping away each and every single piece that's not meant to go with you to the next season. Everything that is that was slowed down. You know, even with my family, with all this going on, that little voice would have stopped me from moving forward, because it doesn't make sense what God told me to do, but I know what God told me to do. So in this time, I will move forward with everything. He told me to write the book, The Pit to the Palace. I'm working on it. He told me to write The Breaking. I've done it. He told me to start the podcast. I've done it. You know, I've started a deliverance ministry. I did not even realize in my walk with God everything that attaches to you over the years. I didn't realize how my body stayed in this fight or flight response. How every Christian that I know probably has some demonic spirits hanging out like on their shoulder. I mean, Jesus went around. He didn't go around going, "Oh, come here and give me a hug." He came out going, "Devil, get out of her. Devil, get out of him." So where did we get away as a church? Where did we get away as a body of Christ, of brothers and sisters, to stop doing that? Where did we water it down to make people comfortable? So I can tell you, God was pulling on my heart, and I went through a deliverance, and this pastor started praying over me, and I just started like weeping like I've never done before. And he prayed the spirit of rejection off, and he's like, "There's more on you." And I can tell you, like I had Leviathan, I had Jezebel. When I went back for a water baptism and had this stuff off, and he called Leviathan off of me, I felt that thing uncurl from my spine and my shoulders. And for the first time in like 2 years, I could sit up straight. Wow. And I was like, oh yes. Yeah. And I would tell you, the python that had been strangling my voice out and all this stuff is real. Yeah. I've become... It all started making sense, God putting the pieces together. I watched my middle son. Oh, in the middle of that 2024, I get the call in the middle of the night. Julian had died twice. Okay, lips were blue. He was resuscitated twice. That was on March 29th of 2025. And as I'm going to the hospital, God radically, brought him back to life. I get home the next day. Listen, I'd gone to church. I think I saw you that day. And I went looking at beating on trap houses as soon as I left church. Because listen, Elizabeth's big and bad, and I was going to tear somebody up looking for his little car. Only to get home later that day and found out the other son had OD'd too. And I had to beat down his
I
door.
I told you not to do that.
You did, but I did it anyways. Because listen, I found that car. Listen, I found that car too. Yeah. And in the midst, I was like, oh, I have a detective in my phone. And I'm calling precious little sweet detective from Lewisburg. He's like, Elizabeth, what are you calling me on Sunday for? Because whatever you need your help on, I'm here for it. And but anyways, long story short, every single thing that I went through, I had to learn that I couldn't depend on me anymore. I had no one else to depend on but God. I couldn't talk. None of my family understood. I couldn't get a hold of anybody at those hospital things. So imagine you lose everything that you've been comfortable in, because comfortable, that's where the playground of the devil is.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to strip every work. Listen, I was a powerhouse. Powerhouse, known like nationwide. And I prided myself in that. Favor started leaving at that job, left there, went to run another thing, and God made me so uncomfortable there. He was like, are you ready? Yeah. Do you want to go nuts, or do you want to step in obedience? So that's when the deliverance happened. That's when their obedience is. And here I am now standing in front of you, not from a place of perfection, but from a place of repentance, right. From a place that God can love. We are not perfect. I will never be perfect. But things that I used to tolerate, I can't stand to be around. Why? Because I've outgrown that wineskin. Right. I want the best for people, and I want everyone to know I've been there. More than likely, I've got the blue ribbon and trophy in my back seat of the car. So I'm here to talk. I created a community, a deliverance community, actually.
Tell us about that.
So Grace in the Breaking, the community, I created it as a safe place for single moms, for anyone. I mean, it is a place. It's $20 a month. Okay, we meet once a week live. Accountability. We have a private community for prayer. I've written curriculum and self-study, devotionals. That way we hold accountability. Like whatever's breaking you, we break it off and we stand together because you have to have community. Isolation is of the devil. Then I did
somebody to talk to.
Exactly, because when you get alone is when you get in those thoughts, and that's when the devil has his playground.
That's when your mind takes over.
Yes, I almost took my life over it. So, like I said, it's time to go back in. Suffering from addiction, call me up. Suffering from prodigals. Well, I've been a prodigal myself. I've prayed a prodigal husband home. I've prayed a prodigal son home, and I'm still standing in the gap for the other one that I know God is going to sanctify and deliver any day now. So, He doesn't. You don't go through these things without there being purpose.
Right.
And I don't want to delay my disobedience anymore, but then to stand up and go, you know what? Let me help you. Whatever it takes. So I'm excited. And now I've just partnered. I had no idea about human trafficking and what was happening here in Tennessee. But Katie barred the doors because Grace in the Breaking is going full on after these pedophiles, because I realized after something happened to my son on TikTok where they tried to, what's it called? Sextortion.
Oh, yeah.
Happened to my 15-year-old. And I woke up because he called the sheriff's department and they were talking to me. They were like, Miss Harper, your son just filed a police report. And I'm like,
really?
It's the middle of the night. What happened? But he got
Yeah.
I did not realize this was going on.
That happens a lot.
So I'm going full force. I'm going to take down these pedophiles.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to, stand together and make awareness known to parents. But there's so much evil in this world, but there's so much good with God. And we can overcome that. Yeah. We're living in the end of days, so it's time to rise up. It's time to repent. It's time to move forward.
There you go.
So here's where I am.
We really appreciate that great story, testimony. I mean, that's a real powerful testimony, and I hope a lot of viewers see this and get a lot of good advice from this.
Oh yeah, I mean that's amazing, and I know where your heart's at, right?
Yeah.
You genuinely care for, especially women that went through what you did, right? But I'm going to ask you a question here in a second before we wrap it up. But I do want you to share your book, and how can people get it, or do they have to be on the membership to get it? Or
So, The Breaking, the season that almost took me out, and The God Who Didn't, is available on Amazon. It's also available on Ingram Spark, so any of your large book retailers. It's global now. That just happened this week, so
that's great.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes.
And or you can go to my website at graceinthebreaking.com, and there's a link to order it there as well. The Breaking just highlights everything that God stripped away in that 6 months to bring me to where I am now. Yeah. But I'll tell you, there's just, when I think back of all the times He saved me, man, He's a good God. He's a patient God. Yeah. I should be dead over and over. I talk about Julian O'Dean. Y'all, you can't even count on hands how many times, I've had a needle in my arm and gone out or anything like that. Or worse, what I've been involved in and didn't get killed. So there's a purpose. If you're living and you're breathing, there's still a purpose for you. And if you want to find out your purpose, just surrender and give Him your yes.
Yep. Amen. Awesome. How can people reach you? I know you're on some social media.
So, graceinthebreaking.com website has all my information, prayer requests, community, master classes. You can DM me on any of the social medias. It's all under Grace in the Breaking. TikTok is Grace in the Breaking Ministry. But I answer to all of them. I do everything myself, so you are getting a personalized response from me. And 9 times out of 10, if you DM me, I'm going to send you a video message because I feel like that's more
personal.
Mm-hmm. So.
Awesome. So before we wrap it up, I got a tough question, and it may not be tough for you to answer, being that you went through all you did. But if there's a lady or whoever watching this, how does someone forgive somebody who's been or sexually assaulted them or, caused trauma in their life? How do you, give me how do you forgive them?
So I actually did a podcast
on
a hardened heart and forgiveness and what happens. if you do not forgive, you are not forgiving for that person.
Right.
You are forgiving for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Unforgiveness hardens the heart. It manifests and it opens this pathways for all sorts of spirits, and it will kill you. It will cause autoimmune disease. It will cause hormonal disruptions. It will literally make you physically sick. So forgiveness is for you. It lets you be free because the Bible says, forgive and you will be forgiven. If you do not forgive, your sins will not be forgiven. Go back and just recollect real quick. What's the first thing God had me do? That I was like, what? He had me emailing at 3 o'clock in the morning people that had hurt me. And I was like, how did I even have their email? But that's the first thing. He had to start breaking that hardness away. And it's not an automatic response. Like, you have to retrain your brain.
Right.
Things that trigger you. Invite God in. Lord, I need to invite you into that moment because that just triggered me. So can you show me where I'm not healed in that? Lord, I verbally said I forgive them, but if there's any piece of me that is not healed, that is keeping me from that unforgiveness, please help me. I lay it down to you. I surrender it. And you know what? When you tell them you're sorry and you forgive them, you may not get the response that you expect, but that's okay because you're not responsible for that. You've done your part. Let God do the rest.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for coming tonight. I loved it, and I know that's probably only a quarter of your story.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
We could talk for hours.
Yeah, but we had a great time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you made it to the end of the video. Please, if you want to get involved with the breaking, reach out to Miss Elizabeth here. I've known her for a short time, but every time I've seen her, she's been a good person, and I know she has a good heart to truly want to help people. So hope y'all have a good night. Remember to like, comment, share, and please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.
Bye.